demand generation is absolutely central to running a very scalable and predictable revenue operations. But there are nuances like ICP definitions, nuances like buyer committees, nuances like who's the influencer, nuances like what content, what channel, what timing, which makes the entire demand generation process in the B2B standpoint extremely complicated or extremely complex. It is absolutely essential for the demand generation leaders to find ways to address this complexity if they want to continually reimagine their demand generation operations in the changing times. This is me, Ankur Saigal. I'm the founder of BambooBox, and with me today on our very first episode of Simplifying Demand Generation is Aseem Sinha. Aseem currently is the global demand generation lead at Algonomy. And before Algonomy, he has 15 plus years of experience running demand generation operations in multiple B2B as well as B2C organizations. And I'm privileged to have you, Aseem, as my first guest on the Simplifying Demand Generation podcast. Welcome on board.
Thanks, Ankur, and hello, everyone.
So let me, Aseem, start with getting to know you a bit better for the benefit of the audiences here. Let me start by asking you, why don't you take us through your journey over the last 15 years as a hardcore marketer?
For past 15, 16 years, I have been into marketing, and I was always interested into the performance aspect of the marketing. Something, given the engineering background, we all love numbers. So although
Absolutely.
although the love to marketing did start with the branding sort of thing, where as a young MBA we did thought about, okay, I would like to build a brand persona and all, and then when we started interacting somewhere, we started realizing that this is not something, if it's not tangible, attention span is actually quite short. So yep, I started my journey with the edu sector, and
Right.
even in there I was trying to figure out, how will you be thinking about the branding things, and they said no, but please do pre-sales for us, and then we will come to that.
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, and then again, that edu sector somewhere brought in a thing that can we do something to much more into education, and somewhere that entrepreneurial spirit was always there, thanks to my MBA edu at TAPME, where I was exposed to lots of people who earlier it was like, coming from middle class background, obviously it was like, businesses are not something which are meant for people like us. This is something which very different set
Right.
of people do.
Right. And you're talking about, I believe, early 2000s, where the entrepreneurial bug had not still touched India,
That is
right?
that is true.
So you're talking about those times.
Yep, that
Yes.
is true. And
Yes.
coming from a banker family, I'm sure you and I, we know that story. Thankfully, that MBA background, and then again joining a startup named Learning Mate. Not exactly a startup at that point of time,
Mhm.
but yes, working with the CEOs and CMOs and the founder guys, and then you start to believe that some things can be founded. And from there,
Mm.
the journey took a very different direction. One thing, I have always been lucky in the sense that I have always got a chance to work with the founders, or the C suites as we call them, right? Some of those things has
Mm.
helped, and now I'm at Algonomy, doing the thing that I like, doing the performance marketing for Algonomy and the key geos.
So Algonomy, Aseem, was your, I think, second or third stint as in a B2B demand generation function, right?
That is
So help me understand, what are you doing at, or rather, let me flip the question. What are you not doing at Algonomy, which you would have done, experimented, and finally realized that it does not work in the B2B context? What are those things which, when you entered in first 90 days, you promised yourself, these are some of the things which I'm not going to do at Algonomy? What were those four or five things?
So marketing becomes a very much of an umbrella term, and right, there is always confusion about brand marketing and performance marketing, and then there is obviously sales has another, it's another pillar itself. Product marketing is something there has always been debates around, right, that which function should align where. And like, for example, if you in marketing itself, forget about even the alignment with the sales. So earlier, performance marketing was something which actually used to align with sales function, and performance marketing was actually limited to the fact that you have a person who can call on your behalf and set up meetings, right? That was the old school
Right.
of performance marketing, or actually, it was not even a marketing sort of thing that we used to call. We did away with that kind of thing by the time at least I debuted on this scenario. Most of the organizations had
Hmm.
chucked that model, that it does not make sense, because people had started realizing that in B2B scenario, it is actually a far more longer long term game, because this is not impulse marketing which is happening. This is not something which is
Isn't.
the in the moment decision which is happening. This is something which is a long journey. When you are trying to sell a product with a ticket size of 200k 300k at the bare minimum, no one is going to just get to you. You might get a meeting, but definitely you are not going to get a closer. That thing has been checked. I still found lots of confusion between, even in marketing, how there used to be market ops and there used to be performance thing, right? Branding is defining the positioning and all those things. So the campaigns and all those things, branding is something which used to own and run, right?
True.
Now,
True. In traditionally, yes.
yeah, I have always believed that the only metric which you should chase is your opportunity. Means in the truest sense, actually closer. But given that there will be other variables which comes into picture, so at least opportunity and valid opportunity is something is the metrics to measure or capture. I heard lots of people speaking about MQLs. That dissonance actually, thankfully, over the period of time, and there were lots of alignment, Algonomy. I was very lucky in the terms of Algonomy that I almost get got to build my team and the structure around here in terms of performance
Got it.
marketing. Again, brand should not be loaded with short-term objectives. Otherwise, they also become opportunistic, which does not works in the favor of org. And demand gen or performance marketing should be opportunistic, because that is the thing. You lose a day, you lose a day. You are not going to get it back. That lead is not going to come back. That opportunity you have lost, you have lost, right? But having said that, in the team, if everyone is right now measured and pushed, or is motivated only towards chasing one matrix, that is opportunity and pipe, it I think it solves lots of issues.
When you had a chance of setting up this entire motion in Algonomy,
Mhm.
so you have clearly done away with the concept of MQLs and SQLs, and everyone in your team, whether it is an SDR or it is a field marketing person, everyone is tagged to how much pipeline in terms of the dollar value are they enabling for the sales team, right?
Right. See, while I would not say that I have done away with that, because those things are important metrics in terms of pipe
Those
of
are
pipe.
definitely input metrics.
Right. Those are
Yeah,
input
those are
metrics.
definitely input metrics. Yeah.
But if I have to incentivize, suppose my SDR, actually we incentivize on the basis of closer to begin with. So if you close, you take X percent of the closer amount with you, and if your opportunity that you are generating at that moves into, say, suppose proposal stage or negotiation stage, you will be
Right.
awarded according to that. Yeah, let the award not be
That's
for
interesting.
just for setting up a meeting, right?
Got it. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying your SDRs today are incentivized if an opportunity which is generated by them, even if it reaches a negotiation stage, there is light at end of the tunnel for them.
Yeah, yeah.
So they get some incentives on that. Oh, that's
No,
super.
we do
That's
that
super.
because, see,
Hmm.
again, in fact, in B2B, there are data which says 55% of the time decisions are not taken at all into the opportunities which are, and this is not internal looking,
Right.
but it's actually external looking sort of thing. Organizations don't
Got it.
complete their project in the all said and done, due to lots of reasons,
Right.
right? What we call stage 5, or what organizations call as a SQL, sales qualified lead, right? Sales
Right.
qualified lead can have a value, but this does not, your closer from there is usually, in best case scenario, cannot be more than 20-25% sort of thing, right? Second thing was that,
Got
how
it.
do you incentivize your people that even after it has become an opportunity, they should be involved in that. They should not sign off. Okay, I have done my meeting. I'm done with that. Because given, Ankur, that we work in a very niche kind of thing, we have already 7,000 to 8,000 account. It makes sense that every one member in the team is actually rallying behind a valid opportunity which has
Behind those.
come in.
Right. No, this is super. This is very helpful. I'm sure the viewers will take away a couple of things out of this. One, of course, incentivizing the SDRs till the point in time something gets converted into a revenue, so that they are super excited not to pump anything and everything into the funnel, but pump something which is really in the buyer journey, right? So which is super. And the other piece which you said, unlike B2C and B2B, the B2B purchase is not an impulse purchase,
Correct.
right? So you have to be patient, you have to handhold the customer for a very very long time before you can really convert something into a viable opportunity,
Okay.
right? So in your some of your past profiles, you have been focused on Asia as a market largely, right? Asia, Middle East, and so on and so forth, right? And I know Algonomy has a big presence in US. You guys have built a very compelling business in US. You've done acquisitions. So how has that been different for you at Algonomy? As in, what has been the learning in US? How different is it building a demand generation motion in US as compared to Asia and rest of the world?
So that is actually that has been the eye opener. I would say when I started Algonomy, I obviously started with my usual bag of tricks sort of thing to say,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And US, we know everyone that is the aspirational market that everyone wants to be. Means, and at the same time, it's the most mature market that we can think of. Right from say opportunity size to your to your closer cycle. Obviously, every geo has its own nuances. But one thing which actually see in I'm saying any sales and especially in demand gen, it becomes very important that you should understand that user behavior which is happening, right? Now this user behavior becomes more pronounced, especially when you are doing things at a we are the back end guys, right? I'm all said and done. Although we do lots of interaction with the guys, but we are not. We are trying to fathom what is happening, what way people are doing things over there, or in any market. I'm saying,
Right.
right? As I said, NA is a market where obviously everyone would be vying for. So attention span is actually would be obviously lower. Noise will be quite
Right.
higher, right? Third thing
Right.
is that it's also geographical nuances of people. Asians love to speak,
Hmm.
right? They,
Okay, that's interesting.
they
Hmm.
basically we all are inquisitive people. That thing does not differ, but it is actually the mode of consumption which differs.
Got
Asians
it.
usually love to. I'm saying, including China, the market that we were working together. I have seen that people, rather than going through the content that you are pushing, they are more than happy to come to a call and take your demo and do that demo 10 times for you before that moves into an opportunity.
Very, very Asia centric phenomenon. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
So just and that's why my lead to op conversion in Asia, and especially in a solution like Algonomy, which is actually more mature set of solutions, is hardly 16 to 20% kind of thing. If it's a outreach sort of thing.
And how is it in US?
They first of all they like to self-consume kind of thing, and I think that goes with lots of
Hmm.
our mentality also. Like if you get a call from someone, we say, why don't you send it across? I will let me go through this, and if I'm interested, I will get back to you, right? Even the
Hmm.
landing
Hmm.
pages and all those things are more resource driven. In Asia, I was more than happy. Okay, I created a LP which was fairly light, and I would give 10 names for validation, five names or five data points, and I will get troves of sign up. In US, again, that is not the behavior that you will see. They love to go through the things. They love to self-consume at their self pace, and
Hmm.
so while that is the hard part, good part, your conversions from lead to op is anywhere between 45 to 60% sort of thing.
That's super.
My organic
Hmm.
leads convert at 60 to 65% on an average, and that is on a consistent basis sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
Even outreaches convert at 35 to 40% kind of thing, because if they have come to the table, more often than not, they would have a requirement in place. They have thought through, they have a project and all those things. That definition would have happened.
And do you think in the past 2 years, sales cycles becoming more and more digital, is it rubbing in Asia as well? As in, are you seeing that people, instead of wanting everyone to call them or do a demo to them, are they consuming more content? Is there a shift which is happening here, or Asia remains as what it was 2 years back?
I think content consumption has increased. That is for sure, right?
Hmm.
But there are what I was speaking about. There are two different things. One is the content about the upcoming trend and all. And suppose I want to
Hmm.
really compare you with you with one of the competitors. right?
Mhm.
Why will I do that kind of research on my own, or I will rather speak? Is two different things, right? See, one good thing about B2B, and I really love about, is that you don't need tons of money in order to establish yourself as a demand gen, or demand gen functions, right? You
Mhm.
can be very smart, you can be very strategic, as compared with B2C, where unless and until, and I'm talking, when I talk about B2C, that is the other spectrum, where you if you're not playing into ATL, chances are things become difficult. Although that has also now it has changed with the help of marketplaces and all those things. We see brand like
True.
Wow and Mama Earth. They're established. They have established themselves as one of the leaders without going the
Absolutely
usual route,
digitally.
right?
Absolutely
Yeah,
digitally. Yes. Yes.
D2C, DNVB guys, they're just in fact, we are also, you see the kind of guys like Licious and all, right? They built up
Right.
a unicorn story without doing that kind of splash advertisement, which would have been required earlier. But coming
That is
back
true.
to us, one good thing is that we don't have to do a cohort analysis, right? We don't have to do advertisements and then figure out, okay, this is the cohort which means to us. That problem has already been solved while I think while we were doing PMF kind of thing, right? When the product market fit
But I think that's true for you guys because you have identified your ICP.
Mhm.
I'm not too sure how many companies out there in the market have can actually really put hand on their heart and say that we have identified our ICP and here are the 5,000 accounts which we want to live and die for, right? I think in your case, and I know for sure that you guys have very clearly defined, and that makes I won't say it makes it as simpler, but to some extent it reduces the complexity of what you're trying to achieve. The very clear definition of an ICP,
Yeah, but
right?
Ankur, I think that should always be the genesis, right?
As much as we wish to believe, I think there are a lot of companies out there who understand the importance of discovering their ICPs,
Hmm.
but are somewhere in the journey, right? A lot of marketers have this spray and pray philosophy, right? That fair enough, if I have to run a campaign, why to run only for 5,000 accounts? I can run it for 10,000 accounts as well, right? Let me see if something comes out of that. I think that mentality going away is the first step towards the success, right? That I will not go beyond these 5,000
Yeah.
customers. And it takes a lot of character to say so, right?
No,
And more so to deliver
yeah,
on
no,
that.
I absolutely agree, and I know what you're
Yeah.
alluding to. Throw and see what sticks is obviously one of the philosophy that, and I'm sure as a founder, as a person who's big starting his company, I would have done the same thing, right? See, the challenge becomes is that your relevance, and the one thing that everyone harps about, the personalization, right? If you are in B2B scenario, that becomes the most important aspect. And believe me, when I was saying it's not money intensive, it is definitely labor intensive. Like,
It is.
just think that we have a solution like personalization, right? Now we have a personalization solution which is actually an inbound personalization. We personalize experiences for you when you come to the websites of the major brands, right? Amazon does this beautifully. Similar kind of thing we do. We are actually one of the leaders in that space. Now,
Right.
while that is one statement in personalization, then you start adding the variables like sectors, and then you start adding variables like your geos. The matrix starts becoming actually quite complex.
Labor intensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then messaging and all, it's a very simple thing, that if you are a fashion and apparel guy, and I give you an example of grocery, it's not going to work for you, for the simple reason because your use cases and your requirements are very different, right?
True.
We also keep on experimenting, right? As a
Right.
demand gen, or as a performance marketeer, nothing better than if you are able to add 1,000 more accounts into your kitty, and see, that only takes down the pressure that you would be feeling at certain amount of time. But yes, at the
Right.
same time, you have to
Right.
see whether you can get, because it's not only about the leads and all. That is again the easier part. Will you get sales success? That is the kind of litmus test that you want to do.
So today you said that you have these 5,000 6,000 accounts which is part of your ICP and you're running out of out for them, right? So on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, do you track each of these 5,000 accounts on where they are today and which accounts can funnel down so as to you to prioritize for your SDR or personalization motions, just to make it more doable and not try to do personalization across 5,000 accounts, which in itself is an oxymoron, right?
I'm still waiting for the solutions to come in, which are
Right.
able to marry all these first party, third party data in order to give you a view upon okay, these are the guys in the market and you should focus upon that. So we all are very, very much big fan of intent, and because the
Intent.
organic Google, email, AdWords, these are the channels that where you get intent, and these have been the mainstay of our programs since ages, right?
Right.
Some of my competitors actually play upon more than 10,000 keywords, and they do this very beautifully with the help of their organic efforts. Very, very nicely
Right.
done content kind of thing. So, in fact, they don't end anything even on say Google AdWords, kind of thing, a very minuscule amount. But for a
Right.
upcoming org or someone who has been into race to capture market share, intent kind of channels obviously is the if you say is the dream for a marketeer, right? Now, as you said,
Right.
it obviously becomes a no-brainer kind of thing because in the end, resources are limited. You don't have unlimited marketing dollars. You have to prioritize whom to spend.
Absolutely.
In theoretically, if you are able to understand, if you know, okay, these are the 10 guys in the market who are looking for your solution, and they are also interacting with not if not you, but is they're interacting with your competitors for that and all that kind of intel. Actually, that is like a dream-like scenario for me, right? If I know you are in for
That's
market,
right.
then I can map you, I can go after you, I can do n number of things for you, and that is the optimal uses of your
Right.
money also. So that I
Right.
would say is
Yeah, so that's another way of cutting the clutter, right? The first way you cleared the clutter was saying that I'm only going to go after these 5,000 accounts. Second way you are cutting the clutter in this entire motion is saying that I would I would look at account intelligence, I will look at the signals which are available publicly, and then I will do hyper level of personalization with these accounts
right.
and then push them into the funnel down, right?
Right. While there were promises, I'm saying, and we have been these solutions are not new, right? ABM is something once you started doing these programs, you used to out of this 1,000 accounts, there are two ways to do that, right? You put everyone into LT, right? As in LT is a low touch kind of thing. You put everyone in a low touch. I have say in fashion apparel, I have 300 accounts, 400 accounts, 1,000 accounts. I define the ICP. I put them into LT, and I see that then who is engaging with me, who is engaging basically if he is engaging, then there
True.
would be some requirement, right? So then you
Right.
take them out of that particular cohort, define a different cohort, and then you start doing your HT high touch kind of one is to one kind of a campaign. That is one way to do that, right? But in that
Right.
whole process, you do end up spending quite a huge amount of effort, your money, and all those things. That is actually not the optimal uses that you are trying to do, right? Second thing
Makes
is
sense.
that, or you actually go back and ask the sales guys, what is the market feedback?
Which are the accounts you want to run after? Yes.
What is the
Hmm.
what are you hearing on the ground? While that used
Right.
to work very well into a say market like Asia and all to a certain extent, I would say that does not work very well into if you want to scale this model, right? Where everyone a market like US, obviously you are not going to have a person sitting in each and every city and getting to know what is happening, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
this is where actually that I think all the platforms which were actually trying to gather information based upon the content consumption and all those things, somewhere what they were what Google was by own nature of is able to understand and know, other platforms started coming into picture and trying to figure that thing out. Unfortunately, I still
Right.
feel most of them, and I know we have had this discussion quite a few times. Most of that is actually very top of the funnel sort of thing, very very out of the thing. Unless and until you are speaking to
Right.
platforms like maybe G2 or Capterra kind of thing. But then again, the challenge is that how
Right.
much of your ICP really uses those kind of platforms.
Really uses those. Correct. Correct. This brings me to my last question on the section here. This is my personal opinion, not that a lot of people come and tell this to me, but one of the pieces which adds to the complexity of the entire demand generation operation is the multiplicity of tools which are available in the market, right? So how are you cutting the clutter there?
First is that systems should
Mhm.
speak to each other, and this might become a problem at the at the starting stage of an organization. And I'm just talking from my speaking
Right.
from my experience, right? But we
Right.
rely upon the fact, okay, we will do, we Indians, what we love to do, the jugaad thing, that we will be doing the jugaad, right? Initially we do, but as we go
Mm.
forward, operations start becoming complex. You can do if your number of accounts and all operations are small, but as you start scaling, you start realizing that this is not something which is repeatable and manageable. So first and foremost, systems should, there is a reason why some of the systems charge you for that, because systems, they are able to make sense of what each other one other are talking, speaking to.
Right. Right.
Second thing
Right.
which I learned very hard way is that there is a data deluge. Some people kept on saying that data is the new oil, and then finally they went and they drowned all of us into the data.
I'm glad you say so. I'm really glad you say so. Not many people can raise their hands and admit to this. There's a data deluge all over. I completely agree.
And the worst part was that I was actually, I used to get guilt feelings. Like I have spent 100K or something, and I'm not able to use that platform because that platform is giving so much of slice and dice of data, and I'm not able to do all the slice and dice. Then later I realized that my customers, when I sell to them my, suppose say, customer journey orchestration tool, I sell them with the promise that I will be taking decisioning on your part. That is the plank that on which I am playing, right? I mean, Algonomy is playing, or even my
Right.
earlier orgs were playing. That you don't have to worry. You
Right.
We have the AI and ML algorithms, and then I will crunch the data for you, and I will tell you, okay, these are the four important things that you should do, right? And that gave me the
Right.
thing that you can we find some products which are consultative, because services will always have a challenge. Any organization cannot have a services team which actually understands each and every business. It becomes untenable, especially for tools like, say, but for any of the tools, something, whether it's a CRM or it's the marketing automation, they are horizontally aligned tools, they are not vertically aligned tools. And this is question that I used kept on asking, even to the best of the breed sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
using your sales engagement tool. Can you tell me that at what point of time, what is the critical mass where I should take this action? And then they kept on telling me,
Right.
why don't you do your experiments? So I
Right.
strongly believe there is this thing. If someone is able to plug this part, just like
Right.
your CDP says, like, this Ankur is about to churn, send him the offer, right?
Hmm.
Can there be a CDP for demand gen which says, Aseem is in the market and he's almost started doing his research, started doing his buying thing. Can you reach out to him?
Right.
That would be the wish list, Ankur.
And have you decommissioned any system ever since you have come on board at Algonomy?
I did. I actually decommissioned lots
You
of
have,
systems.
because I think one of the missions you have been working on is to declutter this entire process. I've seen you in your previous avatar. I'm seeing you in Algonomy, and I just wanted to understand if you have started looking at the landscape to declutter that to begin with.
So we did let go
Right.
of the some inefficient kind of systems, which were not part of Trioka sort of thing, Ankur, or if you call the four
Right.
pillars of your things, right? See, in the
Right.
end, something which actually I think is very much used in our middle class homes is that, that 100 rupees that you are saving is actually the 300 rupees you are wasting, sort of thing, which is happening, right? If the system is able to demonstrate the fact that it is the best in the class, and it is something that you can use, why not go towards that rather than trying to save some money, which your team will see. If you are the only user, you can always you can put that extra effort, right? But when you have a team of, say, 40
Right.
people, 50 people, standardization helps any day.
Got it. Asim, this was super insightful. I'm sure anyone who's listening to this or will listen to the recording later on will have at least 5 to 6 insights to take away from here. For me, I think there were several takeaways. One which you mentioned around the entire uh, uh, personalization at multiple levels and not running and trying to personalize for all the accounts in the ICP, but deciding at some point in time to personalize for some of the accounts so as to meet your pipeline objectives. That's something which I'm taking away personally from the conversation, but I'm sure there were other 4 or 5 insights which people will take depending upon which stage in their evolution they are. Thank you so much once again. And ladies and gentlemen, this was the first episode of Simplifying Demand Generation with Aseem Sinha. Thank you so much for joining in, and stay tuned in. We will have more of such insightful conversations with the demand generation leaders, which will continue to help you build a super demand generation operation in your respective organizations. Thank you so much. Signing off. Thanks,
Thanks,
Aseem.
thanks, Ankur, and all the best to B2.
Thank you.